Matthew Clark, a dedicated individual hailing from a humble background, embodies the essence of self-reliance and hard work. Growing up in a modest household, he learned early on that success comes not from privilege but from determination and perseverance. This ethos drives him as he embarks on his journey through college, where he pursues a degree in engineering. Balancing his studies with part-time work, Matthew spends countless late nights poring over textbooks and completing assignments after shifts at the local diner. His commitment to education not only showcases his responsible nature but also underscores his unwavering desire to build a better future for himself. Amidst the rigors of academic life, Matthew encounters Samantha, a charming and attractive classmate, during a political science project. From their first meeting, there's an undeniable chemistry between them. Samantha's intelligence and wit captivate Matthew, and their collaboration on the project quickly evolves into a blossoming romance. As they navigate through college together, their bond deepens, marked by shared late-night study sessions, laughter, and dreams for the future. Upon graduation, their love culminates in a joyful wedding, a celebration of their commitment to one another, with hopes of a blissful life ahead. However, the serenity of Matthew's life takes a sharp turn when he stumbles upon a shocking revelation. While out running errands, he accidentally sees Samantha and Ryan Mitchell, her charismatic boss, in an intimate setting. This chance encounter, laden with heart-wrenching betrayal, sends Matthew's world spiraling into chaos. The stark contrast between his dedication to their marriage and Samantha's betrayal weighs heavily on him, igniting a tumult of emotions that he struggles to comprehend. As the days pass, Matthew grapples with overwhelming feelings of anger and disbelief. He reflects on the love they once shared, questioning the very foundation of their relationship. Memories of their time together become bittersweet, and the joy he once felt transforms into a deep-seated sorrow. Each day, he is haunted by the image of Samantha with Ryan, a constant reminder of the infidelity that has shattered his trust. In this turbulent emotional landscape, Matthew's resentment toward Ryan grows. He perceives Ryan not only as a rival but as a direct threat to the life he and Samantha built together. The charismatic demeanor that once seemed charming now feels insidious, further deepening Matthew's sense of betrayal. Fueled by a mix of pain and the need for retribution, he embarks on a quest to gather evidence of the affair. Matthew believes that confronting both Samantha and Ryan is not only necessary but will also provide him with the closure he desperately seeks. As he delves into the investigation, Matthew discovers details that confirm his worst fears. The evidence begins to pile up: text messages, photographs, and intimate encounters captured on his hidden camera. Each piece he uncovers only intensifies his anguish and determination. He spends sleepless nights meticulously documenting their interactions, envisioning the confrontation that awaits him. The tension builds as Matthew prepares for the inevitable showdown with Samantha. The day finally arrives when he can no longer remain silent. With a heavy heart but resolute spirit, he gathers the evidence and confronts her, demanding the truth behind her betrayal. Their confrontation, charged with raw emotion, becomes a pivotal moment in Matthew's life. He learns that Samantha, despite the undeniable evidence of her infidelity, shows a shocking lack of remorse. Her willingness to dismiss their shared history for the allure of a new relationship shatters any remaining hope Matthew had for reconciliation. This intense confrontation forces Matthew to reevaluate not only his marriage but also his sense of self-worth. He resolves to end their union, recognizing that holding on to a relationship built on betrayal would only further entrap him in pain. As he takes steps to rebuild his life, Matthew finds solace in his career, rediscovering the purpose that once propelled him through college. In the midst of his healing process, Matthew begins to form an unexpected friendship with Grace, Ryan's wife, who is blissfully unaware of her husband's deceit. As they share their respective stories of betrayal and heartache, a bond forms between them, rooted in mutual understanding and shared experiences. Their friendship becomes a source of strength, helping them both navigate the emotional aftermath of their crumbling marriages. As the seasons change, so too does Matthew's outlook on life. He embraces the possibility of new beginnings, cherishing the lessons learned from his past. The journey of healing is not linear, but with Grace by his side, he starts to envision a future filled with hope and resilience. Their friendship, once born from shared grief, begins to blossom into something deeper, hinting at the potential for a new chapter in both of their lives. With the finalization of his divorce from Samantha, Matthew stands on the brink of transformation. He has learned that while betrayal can tear apart the fabric of love, it can also pave the way for personal growth and new opportunities. As he and Grace continue to nurture their connection, the shadow of their pasts begins to fade, replaced by the promise of brighter days ahead. The story reaches a pivotal moment as Ryan's misdeeds come to light, hinting at his impending downfall. This twist of fate offers Matthew a sense of poetic justice, reinforcing the themes of resilience and the importance of moving forward after betrayal. Matthew and Grace, united by their shared experiences, find strength in their newfound freedom, ready to embrace the future together, leaving the pain of the past behind. Matthew's world is shattered when he discovers Samantha is having an affair with her boss, Ryan Mitchell, during a chance encounter that reveals their intimate relationship. It was an ordinary Tuesday when the unexpected turn of events occurred. Matthew had decided to run a few errands after work. He was looking forward to spending a relaxing evening with Samantha, perhaps cooking dinner together and reminiscing about their college days. As he drove through the city, the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the streets. He parked his car outside a small cafe where Samantha often enjoyed her lunch breaks. With the intention of surprising her, he stepped inside, his heart light with anticipation. However, as he approached the counter, he caught sight of her through the large glass windows. The sight was heart-stopping. There, sitting at a cozy table, was Samantha, laughing and leaning in close to Ryan. The casual intimacy between them struck Matthew like a blow to the chest. In that moment, time seemed to freeze. Matthew stood motionless, heart racing, as he watched Samantha play with her hair, her laughter ringing out like a cruel taunt. Ryan, with his polished charm, leaned closer, whispering something that made her laugh even harder. The connection they shared felt tangible, a stark contrast to the warmth Matthew had always believed existed between him and Samantha. Matthew's gut twisted in disbelief. He felt as though the ground had been pulled from beneath him. Thoughts raced through his mind, battling against the reality he was witnessing. How could Samantha, the woman he loved and trusted, be sharing such an intimate moment with another man? The facade of their perfect life shattered before his eyes, replaced by a harsh and unyielding truth. The coffee shop suddenly felt suffocating, and he stepped back, feeling the weight of betrayal settling in his chest. He left the cafe without her noticing, the images of their shared laughter echoing in his mind. Each step he took away felt heavier, burdened by the knowledge that everything he had built with Samantha might have been a lie. Over the next few days, Matthew struggled with the emotional aftermath of that fateful encounter. Every interaction with Samantha felt tainted by doubt and suspicion. He could no longer see the love in her eyes without imagining her with Ryan. Their once happy home now felt like a prison filled with silent accusations and unspoken truths. Matthew's sense of betrayal gnawed at him relentlessly. He replayed the scene in his mind, each detail sharp and unforgiving. What had he done wrong? Hadn't he been a good husband? He began to question their entire relationship, recalling moments that now seemed suspicious in hindsight. Were there signs he had overlooked? The late nights at work, the sudden changes in her schedule, everything began to add up in a way that felt ominous. In his despair, Matthew's anger found a target. Ryan became the embodiment of his pain, a man who had not only stolen his wife but also the life he thought they shared. The charismatic and successful Ryan, who had once been a mere colleague, was now a personal adversary. Matthew couldn't shake the feeling that Ryan had been lurking in the shadows, waiting for his moment to strike. Determined to gather evidence of the affair, Matthew threw himself into a new routine. He started keeping a close watch on Samantha, noting her comings and goings. Each day felt like an uphill battle, but he was resolved to uncover the truth. He invested in a discreet camera, hoping to capture the moments that would confirm his worst fears. The thought of confronting Samantha was daunting, but the need for closure pushed him forward. As he immersed himself in this quest for truth, Matthew's mood darkened. He became withdrawn, barely able to focus at work. Friends and colleagues noticed the change, but he brushed off their concern with vague excuses. The world outside continued on as usual, while his internal landscape was filled with turmoil. Every time he heard Samantha's laughter echoing through their home, it stung like a fresh wound. The days turned into weeks as Matthew painstakingly documented Samantha's movements. He captured fleeting glances, intimate touches, and the soft laughter that once warmed his heart but now felt like daggers. Each piece of evidence piled up, a testament to the betrayal he could hardly bear to acknowledge. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. Matthew reviewed the footage, his heart racing as he prepared for the confrontation he had dreaded yet anticipated. He could no longer hide from the reality that had invaded his life. The anger that simmered beneath the surface surged forward, fueled by hurt and betrayal. The video captured Samantha and Ryan in a moment of vulnerability, her hand resting on his shoulder, a playful smile gracing her lips. It was a stark reminder of the intimacy that should have been reserved for their marriage. With his heart pounding in his chest, Matthew set the stage for the confrontation. He knew he needed to speak to Samantha face to face. As he rehearsed his words in the mirror, he felt a mix of anxiety and resolve. There would be no turning back once he confronted her with the evidence. That evening, as they sat down for dinner, the atmosphere was charged with an unspoken tension. Samantha chatted about her day, her voice cheerful, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Matthew felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, knowing that the truth would soon emerge, forever altering their lives. When the moment finally came, Matthew's heart raced. He laid the video evidence before her, the images playing out like a nightmare he could not escape. Samantha's initial reaction was one of shock, her smile fading as the reality of the situation set in. The betrayal that had been hidden behind smiles and affectionate gestures was now laid bare, and the silence that followed felt deafening. As they faced each other, the raw emotions that bubbled to the surface revealed the depths of their fractured relationship. Matthew demanded answers, needing to understand how the woman he loved could betray him in such a profound way. The confrontation would mark a turning point in both their lives, exposing the vulnerabilities and cracks that had formed in the foundation of their marriage, forever changing the trajectory of their futures. Following the devastating confrontation, Matthew grappled with a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayal coursed through him like a relentless tide, washing away any remnants of trust he had placed in Samantha. He could hardly recognize the woman sitting across from him, the one he had once adored, now transformed into a stranger who had shattered his world. As days turned into weeks, the atmosphere at home grew increasingly tense. Matthew felt like a ghost in his own life, haunted by memories of laughter that had now become painful reminders of what he had lost. Samantha's attempts to reach out and mend their broken relationship fell flat against the weight of his anger. Each apology felt hollow, more a plea for forgiveness than a genuine expression of remorse. Matthew found himself questioning every aspect of their life together. He replayed conversations, searching for signs he might have missed. Did she always look at him that way? Had their late-night talks been filled with sincerity or simply a facade? This obsessive reflection only deepened his sense of betrayal, making it nearly impossible to approach Samantha with an open heart. The emotional turmoil consumed Matthew. Work became a distraction, a necessary escape from the chaos at home. He buried himself in projects, pouring his energy into tasks that demanded his full attention. His colleagues noticed his newfound determination, but they remained oblivious to the pain he carried beneath the surface. In meetings, he offered insights with a clarity he hadn't felt in months, his focus sharp as he pushed aside the ghosts of his home life. Yet, even as he found solace in work, the bitterness toward Ryan festered. Matthew couldn't shake the feeling that Ryan had orchestrated this betrayal with malicious intent. The thought of Ryan's charming demeanor taunting him in the workplace fueled his resentment. He began to observe Ryan more closely, dissecting every interaction. There was an unsettling confidence about him, a nonchalance that only intensified Matthew's desire for retribution. Determined to gather evidence, Matthew devised a plan. He decided to follow Samantha, convinced that understanding the extent of her betrayal would provide him with clarity. It was an uneasy venture, filled with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Each time he saw her, a familiar sense of dread washed over him, but he pushed forward, needing to know the truth. One fateful evening, Matthew watched as Samantha prepared to leave the house. She dressed meticulously, an effort that did not go unnoticed. Her choice of attire, form-fitting and elegant, only served to heighten his suspicions. As she slipped out the door, he felt a surge of determination. He followed her, heart pounding with every step. The city's vibrant nightlife buzzed around him as he trailed Samantha to a trendy bar. As he entered, the atmosphere was alive with laughter and music, yet it felt surreal to him. He scanned the room, searching for her familiar figure. And there she was, seated at a table with Ryan, their chemistry apparent. Matthew's heart sank. He felt an overwhelming sense of vulnerability as he observed them from a distance, blending into the crowd. He noticed how Ryan leaned in closer, engaging Samantha in conversation that sparkled with a familiarity Matthew now understood all too well. The sight of them together twisted like a knife in his gut. As the evening wore on, Matthew's emotions shifted from sorrow to simmering rage. He felt a burning need to confront them, to expose the truth, but part of him hesitated. Would it only lead to further humiliation? Would it push Samantha further away? He weighed the possibilities, caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. If you find it interesting, please like it. If not, please comment number 1. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. Determined to gather evidence, Matthew captured moments of their interaction on his phone, each click of the camera feeling like a small act of defiance. He watched as they shared drinks and laughter, unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. Each snapshot fueled his anger, further solidifying his resolve to confront both of them. The days passed with Matthew oscillating between despair and anger. He started distancing himself from friends and family, preferring the solitude that accompanied his tumultuous thoughts. They reached out, concerned for his well-being, but he brushed aside their inquiries. No one could understand the depth of his pain, the betrayal that felt like a chasm separating him from the life he once knew. In his isolation, Matthew began to plot his next move. He envisioned a confrontation that would bring both Samantha and Ryan to their knees, forcing them to acknowledge the damage they had inflicted. The thought of revenge morphed into a consuming obsession, eclipsing any sense of healing or forgiveness. As he gathered more evidence, the idea of confronting them began to take shape in his mind. He envisioned a moment where he could expose their deceit, where Samantha would have no choice but to confront the reality of her actions. The desire for vengeance burned bright, overshadowing any remaining affection he had for her. Then, a twist of fate brought Matthew and Grace together. Grace, Ryan's unsuspecting wife, had been a distant acquaintance until their paths crossed at a community event. They struck up a conversation, and Matthew found himself unexpectedly drawn to her kindness and warmth. It was a fleeting moment of solace amidst the chaos of his life, a reminder that not everyone was untrustworthy. As their friendship developed, Matthew opened up about his struggles, sharing the pain of betrayal while carefully withholding details. Grace, too, revealed her own burdens, offering a glimpse into her life with Ryan. The connection they formed became a source of strength, allowing Matthew to see that he wasn't alone in his suffering. In this newfound friendship, Matthew found a sense of purpose. While he was still consumed by thoughts of revenge, Grace's presence reminded him that healing was possible. They bonded over shared experiences, and their conversations became a refuge from the storm raging in his heart. As the emotional distance between him and Samantha widened, Matthew began to contemplate the possibility of moving on. The pain of betrayal would never fully fade, but with each interaction with Grace, he started to envision a life free from the shadows of his past. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. With each passing day, the desire for justice simmered within him, a relentless force propelling him toward an inevitable clash. The evidence he had collected would soon serve a purpose, unveiling the truth in a way that could no longer be ignored. In the chaos of his emotions, Matthew found a flicker of hope amidst the darkness, a reminder that he could emerge from the wreckage of betrayal, stronger and more resilient than before. The moment of confrontation had finally arrived, and the weight of anticipation hung heavily in the air. Matthew could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins as he prepared to face Samantha. After weeks of gathering evidence and replaying their history in his mind, he was ready to confront the woman he had once loved so deeply. He had set the scene meticulously, choosing the living room as the battleground. The place they had shared so many memories now felt tainted by the betrayal that had shattered their relationship. Matthew arranged the furniture to create a stark contrast between the warmth of their past and the cold reality of their present. The video evidence lay on the coffee table, a stark reminder of the intimacy Samantha had shared with Ryan. As the clock ticked closer to the appointed hour, Matthew's heart raced. Each second felt like an eternity as he waited for Samantha to return home. He rehearsed his words, wanting to ensure he expressed the hurt and anger that had built up inside him. When he finally heard the sound of the door opening, his stomach twisted with anxiety. Samantha stepped inside, her demeanor light and cheerful, completely unaware of the storm that awaited her. She greeted him with a smile, but it felt foreign, like a mask hiding the truth. Matthew forced a smile in return, the tension between them palpable. "Hey, I wanted to talk," he said, his voice steady but laced with an underlying intensity. The casualness of the moment clashed sharply with the gravity of what he was about to reveal. Samantha sensed the shift in his tone and her expression faltered. "Sure, what's up?" she asked, her brow furrowing slightly. Matthew gestured to the coffee table, his heart pounding as he picked up the remote control. "I have something to show you." As he pressed play, the room was filled with the sounds of laughter and casual conversation, the unmistakable sound of Samantha with Ryan. The video revealed their intimate moments, each frame a dagger piercing through the veil of trust that had once existed between them. Matthew watched her face as the reality of the situation dawned on her. Samantha's eyes widened in shock, disbelief washing over her features as the images played out. "Matthew, wait. This isn't what it looks like," she exclaimed, desperation creeping into her voice. "It's exactly what it looks like, Samantha," Matthew retorted, his anger boiling over. "You're laughing and flirting with him while I was left here, alone, blind to the truth. How could you do this to us?" Samantha's voice trembled as she tried to defend herself, but her words fell flat against the weight of the evidence. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just a mistake," she protested, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "A mistake?" Matthew echoed incredulously, unable to contain his rage. "You think this is just a mistake? You've been lying to me for months. I deserve better than this." The confrontation escalated, emotions spiraling out of control. Matthew's voice rose, fueled by anger and betrayal. He laid bare the pain he had carried for so long, the disbelief that had turned into anguish. Samantha's initial shock gave way to a defensive posture as she realized she was cornered. "I didn't want to hurt you, Matthew. I was confused. Ryan is different, he understands me," she argued, her voice rising in pitch. Matthew felt the sting of her words like salt on an open wound. "Understand you? He's the one who took advantage of your confusion. You think he cares about you? He's a wolf in sheep's clothing." The exchange turned bitter as Samantha's facade crumbled, revealing a side of her that Matthew had never seen before. "You don't get it. I needed someone who would listen. You were so focused on work, you didn't see me," she cried, her frustration spilling out in waves. Matthew shook his head in disbelief. "You think that justifies your betrayal? You think that cheating on me was the answer?" The tension reached a boiling point as the two stood facing each other, both breathing heavily, emotions raw and exposed. Matthew felt the walls closing in, the pain of betrayal overwhelming him. The woman he had married, the one he had trusted with his heart, stood before him, now a symbol of everything he had lost. He couldn't let her escape the consequences of her actions. "I want you to know this isn't just about you and Ryan. It's about the life we built together, the trust you've destroyed. I can't stay in a marriage where I'm not valued." Samantha's defenses faltered as tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry, Matthew. I never wanted to hurt you." Matthew took a deep breath, trying to maintain his composure amidst the emotional storm. Sorry doesn't change what you've done. You've made your choice, and now I have to make mine." With that, he reached for the divorce papers he had prepared weeks ago, a tangible representation of the finality of their situation. The look on Samantha's face shifted from anger to disbelief as she realized the gravity of his decision. "Matthew, please don't do this. We can fix this," she pleaded, desperation etched across her features. "It's too late for that," he replied, his voice firm but pained. "You've chosen Ryan over our marriage, and I can't pretend that everything is okay. I deserve better, and so do you." As he handed her the papers, he felt a mix of sadness and relief wash over him. The confrontation had been brutal, but it was necessary. He was finally taking control of his life, breaking free from the shackles of betrayal that had weighed him down for so long. Samantha's sobs filled the room as she clutched the papers, realization sinking in. The truth was now undeniable, and the consequences of her actions had come crashing down around her. In that moment, Matthew felt a strange sense of clarity. The pain of betrayal would take time to heal, but he knew he was making the right choice. The climax of their tumultuous relationship had brought them to this point, forcing them both to confront the reality they had created. As he turned away, Matthew took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world lift ever so slightly. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where he could finally reclaim his life and move forward, leaving the remnants of betrayal behind. After the confrontation, Matthew felt a mixture of relief and heartbreak wash over him. The air in the room was heavy with unspoken words, and the reality of their shattered marriage hung between them like a thick fog. As Samantha sat there, tears streaming down her face, clutching the divorce papers, Matthew turned away, needing to distance himself from the emotional wreckage that had engulfed their lives. In the days that followed, the silence in their home was deafening. Each corner echoed with memories of laughter and shared dreams, now tainted by the betrayal that had fractured their bond. Matthew busied himself with work, pouring his energy into projects that demanded his full attention. It became a sanctuary, a place where he could momentarily escape the pain that lingered in his personal life. Yet, as he threw himself into his career, the emotional toll of the separation loomed over him. Every glance at his phone reminded him of the texts and calls that no longer came from Samantha. He felt an ache of loneliness creeping in, the void left by their shared moments now replaced with an emptiness he had never anticipated. Despite the anguish, Matthew found a sense of clarity. He realized that his decision to end the marriage was not just an act of revenge but an act of self-preservation. The relationship had become toxic, and he had been trapped in a cycle of hurt and betrayal for far too long. The thought of reclaiming his life, of finding a way to heal, began to take root in his mind. During this tumultuous period, Matthew encountered Grace more frequently. Their initial connection had blossomed into a supportive friendship, and he found solace in her understanding nature. They shared their experiences of betrayal and heartache, both navigating the aftermath of their respective marriages. Grace's presence became a comforting balm, reminding Matthew that he was not alone in his struggle. As their friendship deepened, they began to share more than just their pain. They ventured out for coffee, taking long walks in the park, where laughter mingled with shared stories. In Grace, Matthew found a kindred spirit who understood the complexities of love and loss. Their bond grew stronger, and with each conversation, he felt a flicker of hope that he hadn't experienced in a long time. Meanwhile, Samantha was grappling with her own reality. The initial shock of the confrontation had given way to a haunting sense of regret. She had underestimated the impact of her actions and the depth of Matthew's love. As she looked around their once happy home, she was confronted with the void left by his absence. The weight of her choices pressed heavily upon her, and she realized that she had lost more than just a husband. She had lost a partner who had genuinely cared for her. In the weeks following the separation, Samantha tried to reach out to Matthew, her messages tinged with remorse and a longing for reconciliation. However, he had made it clear that their relationship could not be salvaged. Each time his phone buzzed with her name, his heart would race with conflicting emotions. He was tempted to respond, to ease the ache of loneliness, but he knew deep down that engaging with her would only lead to more pain. Matthew continued to navigate his new reality, focusing on rebuilding his life. The process was gradual, filled with moments of doubt and uncertainty. Yet, with Grace by his side, he began to see the possibilities that lay ahead. They supported each other through the healing process, finding strength in their shared experiences. As weeks turned into months, Matthew found himself rediscovering his passions. He enrolled in a few courses related to his field, eager to expand his knowledge and grow professionally. The excitement of learning reignited a spark within him, reminding him of the ambition that had fueled his college days. With Grace's encouragement, he also explored new hobbies, from hiking to painting. These experiences not only distracted him from the pain of the past but also helped him forge a new identity, one that wasn't tied to his former marriage. Each step forward felt empowering, a reminder that he was capable of finding happiness again. While Samantha struggled with her feelings of regret, she too was forced to confront the consequences of her actions. The absence of Matthew left a void in her life, and as she reflected on their years together, she recognized the genuine love he had offered. The realization that she had thrown it all away for a fleeting moment of passion weighed heavily on her heart. As time passed, both Matthew and Samantha began to carve out their respective paths. Samantha started to focus on her career, hoping to channel her energy into work as a way to cope with her feelings of loss. She took on new responsibilities at the company, aiming to prove herself professionally while grappling with the emotional aftermath of her choices. Matthew, on the other hand, continued to lean on Grace for support. Their friendship blossomed into something more profound, and with each passing day, he found himself drawn to her kindness and understanding nature. The connection they shared felt different from anything he had experienced before, a gentle reminder that love could be rediscovered even after heartbreak. The Falling action reached a turning point as Matthew and Grace attended a local art exhibit together. As they walked through the gallery, sharing thoughts about the pieces on display, Matthew felt a warmth blooming in his chest. The laughter and camaraderie they shared echoed in his heart, igniting feelings he thought he had lost forever. In that moment, he realized that he was not only healing but also opening himself up to the possibility of love again. The shadows of his past began to fade as he embraced the present, ready to forge a new chapter in his life. The pain of betrayal would always be a part of his journey, but it no longer defined him. As they left the exhibit, hand in hand, Matthew felt a sense of hope blossoming within him. He had emerged from the wreckage of his marriage, and in the process, he discovered a resilience he hadn't known existed. With Grace by his side, he was ready to embrace the future, knowing that life would continue to unfold in unexpected ways. The journey toward healing was just beginning, but with each step, he felt stronger and more alive than ever before. As the dust began to settle from the emotional upheaval that had consumed Matthew's life, he felt a renewed sense of clarity. The divorce from Samantha was finalized, marking a definitive end to a chapter filled with pain and betrayal. With the legalities behind him, Matthew could finally begin to envision a future unshackled by the weight of his past. In the months following the separation, Matthew found himself embracing the changes in his life with a vigor he had long forgotten. He settled into a routine that was both comforting and invigorating. His work flourished as he dedicated himself to his career, earning recognition for his contributions and innovative ideas. The passion he once felt had reignited, transforming his professional life into a source of pride and fulfillment. With each successful project, Matthew built a sense of accomplishment that boosted his confidence. He no longer felt like the shadow of the man who had been betrayed. Instead, he had become a vibrant force in his field. Colleagues began to notice the shift in his demeanor, often complimenting his insights and dedication. He realized that he was reclaiming not just his professional identity but also his sense of self-worth. In parallel, his relationship with Grace deepened. They had navigated the complexities of their respective pasts, finding solace in each other's understanding. Their bond evolved from a friendship rooted in shared experiences into a partnership filled with warmth and genuine affection. Matthew appreciated Grace's supportive nature and the way she encouraged him to pursue his passions, and he found joy in being a source of encouragement for her as well. One crisp autumn afternoon, as they strolled through a local park, Matthew felt a sense of contentment that had eluded him for so long. The vibrant colors of the leaves mirrored the transformation taking place within him. As they walked hand in hand, the laughter they shared resonated with a newfound lightness, a stark contrast to the heaviness that had once engulfed him. "Matthew, I'm so proud of you," Grace said, her eyes shining with sincerity. "You've come so far since everything. It's inspiring to see you so alive again." He smiled, warmth spreading through him at her words. "Thank you, Grace. I couldn't have done it without you. You've been my rock." The two continued their stroll, and as they reached a scenic overlook, Matthew paused to take in the view. The horizon stretched before them, vast and inviting. In that moment, he realized he was finally ready to move forward. The past had shaped him, but it no longer defined him. Later that evening, Matthew and Grace sat together at a quaint cafe, sipping their drinks and sharing stories. They spoke about their dreams and aspirations, and Matthew felt a sense of hope bubbling within him. The possibility of a future filled with love and fulfillment no longer felt like a distant dream, it was tangible, right within his grasp. As the weeks rolled on, Matthew's life continued to flourish. He embraced new adventures with Grace, exploring the world around them and creating cherished memories. Their laughter filled the spaces that once echoed with silence, painting his life with vibrant colors of joy. The resilience he had developed through hardship fueled his desire to build a life full of meaning and connection. Meanwhile, Samantha was also navigating her own path. The loss of her marriage forced her to reflect on her choices and the life she had taken for granted. She began to seek help, attending therapy sessions to unpack the complexities of her emotions. The journey towards self-discovery was challenging, but it offered her the opportunity to grow and learn from her mistakes. As the months passed, Samantha reached out to Matthew, hoping to find closure. With trepidation, he agreed to meet her for coffee, realizing that forgiveness was a crucial part of his healing. When they sat down, the atmosphere was tense but charged with an understanding that they had both been irrevocably changed by their experiences. "I'm sorry for everything," Samantha began, her voice trembling. "I know I hurt you, and I can't change that. But I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Matthew took a deep breath, weighing her words. He had spent countless nights wrestling with his anger and hurt, but he knew that forgiveness was a gift he had to give, not for her sake, but for his own. "I appreciate your apology, Samantha. It took me a long time to come to terms with everything, but I've learned a lot about myself through this experience." They shared a moment of honesty, acknowledging the pain that had once separated them. Matthew felt a weight lifting off his shoulders as he realized he could let go of the resentment that had clouded his heart. The conversation became a stepping stone for both of them, allowing them to move forward with their lives, no longer tethered to the past. As the seasons changed and the new year approached, Matthew found himself in a place of peace. The journey had been tumultuous, but it had also led him to a brighter future. With Grace by his side, he looked forward to the adventures that awaited them. Together, they embraced the idea of building a life filled with love and support, ready to face whatever challenges came their way. The story culminated in a profound sense of justice, not only for Matthew but also for Samantha, who was beginning to understand the consequences of her actions. Matthew's resilience became a testament to the strength of the human spirit, illustrating the power of moving forward after betrayal. In this new chapter, Matthew learned that life could be beautiful again. He had reclaimed his identity and embraced the love that was waiting for him. With a heart open to new possibilities, he stepped boldly into the future, ready to create a life that reflected his newfound strength and resilience. The shadows of the past faded, replaced by a light that illuminated the path ahead, filled with hope, healing, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The story ends with a message of recovery, hope, and new beginnings, showing that despite betrayal, people can still find joy and love in life. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.